Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're discussing mortgages and how unaffordable they are currently. Let's get into it. Alrighty, everyone. Let's get started.
Average millennial is 36 years old. They can't afford to buy the house. So therefore, their future self is poorer. If they think of how much of the stock market they can buy less with their money. They have less savings. They've got debts from university. So they don't have the ability to get out of this trap. And then what you're finding is because of this, they're having to live with other people into their 30s. They don't have kids and they don't get married. And these numbers have collapsed since 1983. You've seen these numbers come down from people living on their own. So you could get your job, get yourself an apartment. It's gone from 80% to 62%. You're seeing the marriage rate halve. You see then the same cohort of kids in their 30s doing 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 4 jobs. That's not because they want to. Nobody wants to work 12-hour days, 7 days a week. It's because they have to. And their parents, the baby boomers, never had that. They were the richest generation the world had ever seen. So this is the first generation that won't be as rich as their parents. And that's a weird thing because we're all used to human progress, the American dream. If the American dream is, well, you'd never be as wealthy as your parents and they were middle-class people and I'm now less well off than them, that's kind of
just so. Yeah, because when you come to think about it, a lot of older generations will complain about this, right? They'll be like, "Oh, you went to college, you got a degree," and when you express that you're having troubles getting, a good paying job, being able to afford things, getting your own apartment, they automatically just say, "Hey, you're not working hard enough," or "You got a useless degree somewhere," or "You got, you know," or you didn't make enough connections while you were in college, and it's like that's just not how the world ended up turning out, right? Back in their day, they had all the resources available. They had really cheap entry to college, really cheap entry into apartments. Rent was a lot lower. They had a lot of things that accounted for them being able to be sustainable by themselves. And this generation nowadays just doesn't have that. They don't have the luxury of their own independence. They need to be with someone to even survive. And that's insane.
Firsthand what all the boomers and landlords are banging on about. Saw a young person buy a $5 coffee. No wonder they can't afford that $1.2 million home that needs another,
right.
400 in renos
right.
before they can live in it. Just imagine how far that $5 would go.
Right, it's the $5. It's always the $5. It's not the everlasting, increase in price every year. No, it's the $5 coffee for sure.
Towards paying off a mortgage. Jeez.
This video is for all my other 25 to 35-year-olds. Is everything just going to be impossible for us? I mean, I can't buy a house. I can't. I've put in offers on 2 different homes. One of them wasn't even reviewed. The other one, we were in second. We didn't get it. And every house that I put on my list ends up being pending or it's already gone. It's already under contract the next day. So I am just feeling exhausted and I'm ready to give up. I just think maybe I'm just not supposed to have a house. I'm 29. I have a baby. I'm married. I'm ready. And I think our generation is just getting screwed. I mean, even this car, I had people quoting me like 4 times the MSRP price on this car. Why are we in this? Why can't I just get a regular MSRP price? No, everything is extreme. Everything. You can't. Inflation, all these things, since I've been an adult, ready to do adult things, are literally out of control. And I need to have a rant because I'm just sick of it. I'm ready to give up. It's like I'm just going to rent the rest of my life because these people are out of their minds. I just went to an open house and this house was a dump. It was disgusting. It gave me the ick. It was so dirty. They didn't put any time into cleaning it. It looked disgusting. There was crap on the wall. I mean, just disgusting. Smelled bad. And they had that house listed at $425. I wouldn't pay $250 for that house.
Jesus.
I would not pay $250 for that house, and that house was at $425. It's the end for our generation.
And that's the thing with houses nowadays too. It's like they'll list your price for literally $500,000, and then in their description they'll be like, hey, selling as is, or oh, we're not doing repairs. And even when they do say, hey, this comes as is, that's not really how that works. Whenever you talk to your agent or your realtor, you'll be like, hey, you know, if we want to close, we want this fixed, this fixed, this fixed, and then it's part of the negotiation, right? So I don't understand why everyone just kind of says, oh, comes as is, or, you know, they're so not willing to accommodate anything, which is not really how that works. I've been in the process before, and you really can't do as is. It is really difficult to sell your house if you're not looking or willing to talk to your buyer to see if you can fix anything, or to see if there's anything that, you know, on their concern list. But yeah, homes nowadays are just in ridiculous condition, and they want an arm and a leg for anything, which is insane.
Just the end.
Sometimes I wish I had something on this finger, or was it this finger? I can't remember. Because the housing prices, guys, I'm trying to save for my first home for me and my boys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, don't eat it then. I'm trying to save for me and my boys. And it's just like the government is trying to make it so much harder. If you guys weren't already aware, I'm here to tell you what the government are offering and what they're taking away for us first-time buyers. It's quite common knowledge, but I thought I might as well express it on my page.
Okay.
So any properties above £300,000, you have to pay 5% tax on, which is just crazy. This wasn't the game before. Well, not now, but the 1st of April 2025, which is in 4 months, unless you're buying a house in the next 4 months, which a lot of us aren't, unless you've been actually working on this for a while,
right,
then we are royally screwed.
I don't know that much about the British market or the European market, but I would assume it's at least doing a little bit better than ours. I know Canada and Australia are immensely worse than us right now, at least in the US, but I don't really know about European markets, so be interesting to find out exactly what she's talking about.
Because £100,000 can get you a lot for houses in the UK. You can probably get a really run-down house and then have to do it up, but even that costs more money.
Right.
£300,000 is the maximum you can loan from the bank in order to get a house and not pay any stamp duty. But anything over that, you are paying 5% on stamp duty, which just doesn't make sense. What is stamp duty anyway? It's such an archaic rule and it's really not relevant anymore, but for some reason we're all getting punished to pay it. So one way the government is giving back is through lifetime ISAs. So lifetime ISAs, I believe it's £425,000 is the absolute maximum. You can use your investments from your lifetime ISA to buy your home. So that's a really good thing. I mean, it's still quite a lot of money, a good chunk of money. But if you're trying to buy anything over £475,000, not only are you paying for stamp duty, but you're also paying a penalty on your lifetime ISA, which sucks as well. I want everyone to consider who's trying to buy a house like myself in the next couple of years is the solicitor fees, the mortgage broker fees, the surveillance fees, renovation costs that you might have to put into consideration. There is a lot to consider. It's not just that deposit, but it's also all those fees that come on top of buying a house, as well as your affordability. Just because you make 50k, they might only borrow you £200,000. It's just such a abysmal kind of situation going on. It just makes it feel so impossible, and it just makes it feel so much more hard. And I just feel like they keep moving the goalposts, and I just feel like they only reward couples, which is why I say, like, this is why it pays to be in a couple, whether it's siblings or a marriage. It just pays because you get so much further with your money. The only thing single people benefit from is a single person's council tax.
I'm a little...
And that is kind of the same thing that happens in the States as well. It is a lot harder to qualify for a mortgage if it's just you. Like, if you're not married, or if you're not going in, like, in an investment kind of style with, like, a partner or something, it is a lot more difficult to qualify if it's just yourself. And yeah, again, I don't know the British market at all, but I'm assuming it's going to be somewhat closer to ours if they're having this imposed tax after £300,000. So just something to think about.
Concerned just on how my generation and the future generations are supposed to buy homes.
Mm-hmm.
So how are we supposed to buy a home when minimum homes are 300,000? 20% of 300,000 is 60,000. So for me to have to save up $20,000 just to put down, Never mind closing costs and your realtor that you have to pay and all of the other fees that you have to pay, which could be a minimum of like 8 to 15,000 for closing costs. I've heard people pay way more.
It could be, yeah.
And then what if you want to have a family? What if your girlfriend or your wife gets pregnant and you're like, hey, we should raise this baby. How are you going to afford it? Who's going to watch your baby? So I just want to like think about that for people who are rushing into relationships and rushing to grow up. It is very difficult, not only because you can't afford anything unless you make above 100,000, especially in the New England. You just can't afford to live. Like, you can't even afford to save money. You can't afford to go on vacation. Most of these people are living paycheck to paycheck. So don't rush to move out.
What's up, America?
And the thing with that is that, you know, back in the day, you were able to do that. You were able to have a wife, kids, you know, maybe have your wife be a stay-at-home wife. And, you know, it was a lot easier because everything was so low in price. And now that everything is increased and it's seemingly like wages have not increased whatsoever, we're seeing now that it is more challenging to actually have the life that our parents did or our grandparents did back in the day. And right, with being able to qualify for things is immensely more difficult than it was back in the time.
America, so do you think it's hard to buy a home? Well, fuck yeah, it's hard to buy a home. Let's see why. So this shouldn't be very difficult. On the left side, you'll see in thousands of dollars US. And then, of course, on the bottom, the blue line indicates your house price. Okay. And your red line indicates your median income. And so starting at 1970, there goes your median income. And then look at that house price. And then here comes Joe Biden. Whoa, holy shit. So as you can see, the amount of money you're making is slightly more than 1975. Mm-hmm. But house prices have increased so much, you thought it was a fucking career. Look at that. So your average income has about doubled since 1970, but your home price has increased about 5 to 10 times. Actually, more than that. Back in 1965, your annual income was about half of what your home price was. Now your annual income is about 1/10 of a home price, meaning it's going to be 10 times harder, give or take, to purchase a home now as when the boomers purchased their fucking home. Yeah. Let's look at that one more time just so everyone's real clear how fucking hard it is. So here's when boomers bought a house. Here's when your ass has to buy a house. Boomers buying a house. Your ass purchasing a house. Well, if you think that's goddamn impossible, you're 100% right. That is almost goddamn impossible. We're fucked. So sorry, Gen X, Millennials, Zoomers, and Gen Z. Looks like you're all bent over for the rest of your life financially. No clue how we'll ever get out of this unless you kick out millions of undocumented people. Sayonara.
My husband
I don't know about that.
Buying a house.
I kind of got the thing where he's all like, oh, we hate Biden, we hate undocumented, like right off the bat when he said that Biden comment. But it's like, that's not going to solve anything. You know? Kicking out undocumented people or, you know, people that are immigrants isn't going to change anything. You know, you think the people that they claim are taking the low-paying jobs or this kind of stuff can afford a house? Think about that for a second. You think that people that you feel are lesser than you can afford a house? I don't get it. I just don't get the argument that it's like they use like immigrants and, you know, undocumented people as like a scapegoat to not really address the issues that are in the fucking state. And I get it. I'm Hispanic, so I'm kind of a little bit biased on that kind of point. But again, there's really nothing they do that affects the housing at all. It's insane.
And I have a couple of things that I just have questions on. The first one being, why is a broken down shack $350,000?
Yep.
I am appalled at the prices right now. And yes, I know the market's not that great, but let's be for real for a second. Also, I feel like there should be some law about first-time home buyers being able to get out of their lease, because the fact that you have to rush to find a house but also slow down and not find one too quickly to make it line up with when you, not your lease is up, but when you have to give notice for your lease, which is usually 2 full months before your actual lease is up. Like, it just feels like this huge game that I genuinely don't want to play, and I hate it. I also love following along on all the come house hunting with me.
So I said to my husband, I don't understand why everyone keeps saying that millennials can't buy homes when we live in California and literally all of our friends, not all, but most, own a home. We're
California?
millennials, our friends are millennials, and a lot of them own a home. So he's like, okay, like who? So I started listing off our friends who own homes, and every single one of them, he was like, they got help from their parents. They got help from their parents.
Right.
Their parents gave them money. Their parents gave them money. Their parents helped them. And that includes us. We have a home because his parents helped us. But nobody talks about it. I feel like people want to pretend like they can do it on their own when literally I don't think any millennials own a home without their parents' help. And that's such a privilege to even have parents who can help you. Yet we don't talk about it. We kind of pretend like we're doing well. We own a home. Yup. Just skip over that. There's no way we could do that without our parents' help.
And nothing wrong with, you know, your parents helping you, right? And right, it's a blessing, obviously, that they helped you out to get you a home, especially in California, where that's immensely more expensive than anywhere else. But, you know, just because you got the help and just because you have the assistance from family, whether it be inheritance, whether it be, you know, your parents are more well off, they give you money to, like, get a down payment, or they, you know, they co-sign with you on the mortgage loan. It's a lot more eye-opening when you see people across the country, most likely in like lower cost of living states, that can't afford that by themselves, right? And again, there's nothing wrong with getting help from relatives, family, that kind of stuff, but it's just when people get on their high horse and immediately are like, hey, anyone can do it. It's maybe anyone can do it. It's a lot harder though when no one's helping you. And that's kind of the thing that everyone is a lot more upset about, is that, you know, it's not as easy as it used to be. Alrighty everyone, that about does it for today's video. Let me know what you thought. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe, comment what your thoughts on, you know, mortgages, how expensive they are. If you've already applied for a mortgage, if you've tried it and you've failed, succeeded, let me know. Yeah, awesome. Have a good one.